Welcome back to another episode, Bros and Boxers. I'm your host, Michael, joined once again by Casey.
Hello, hello.
This week we have back with us my two brothers. We have here CJ.
What's up?
And once again, Alex.
Hey, everybody.
Glad nobody asked how anybody was doing this week. We got a lot of mail from people saying, I said I'm doing great, and nobody said anything to me after that. So,
Well, I didn't feel like speaking to the ether this time.
Just calling out like, hello.
So we had such a good time talking with you guys last time. It's really great to meet everybody.
It was great to be on, you know.
It was great. It was so great. I
Had to
realized
come
last time we didn't say anything about, thanks for being on. And we're not going to do that this time either because we just don't care about you guys that much.
Don't give a
Let's
flying.
just dive on in. That's what people want, the content, you know.
People don't come here looking for our small talk, okay? They exclusively
Actually,
come here to get the news. They come for
That kinda
CJ's
goes
filibusters.
That kind of goes in with one of my topics I wanted to hit on today. Not enough of my podcasts are coming out.
None of
Really?
your podcasts are coming out?
You would think
Not
that
enough
this is
of
the
them.
time where
Oh, not
podcasts
enough.
would be coming out left and right. I mean, podcasts are one of the few media that you can easily record in these
Exactly.
strange times.
Yeah.
So, I got into Dungeons and Dragons, and right after all my parties basically disbanded for COVID, for life, for all that fun stuff, I started listening to Dungeons and Daddies, not a BDSM podcast. And there's just not enough there. I listened to the episode, it's an hour long, and then I sit there at my desk, I'm like, well, now what do I do for the other 8 hours of my day?
Can you and
So-
your party start your own podcast? Or have you guys been doing, kind of related, but have you guys been doing like remote D&D? Is that even possible to do remote D&D?
It is, and we have, but it's just, it's not the same, and, life got complicated, so I just hadn't gotten back into it. But, yeah, we do Roll20. That's the program. There's multiple ones out there. We use Discord. We talk to each other through that, and then roll our characters there.
Nice.
You know, how you mentioned Discord being used for that, and I wonder, because Discord changed some of their rules during the pandemic to make things more accessible. I think they made it to where, like, you can have higher upload limits and you can share screens and stuff like that, things that they used to charge for. And I just wonder, like, how that works. Like, how are they making money? Because I don't get ads in Discord.
Well,
I think
did they have Nitro?
you can pay to have servers
That's right.
hosted with large amounts of people. So the people that host those big servers ask for tips from their server members or whatever. So the people that are paying for these huge servers are where Discord is making their money. I would be very curious to see what Discord is worth because at my job we use Slack, which is like the non-gamer themed version of Discord. And
Super popular.
yeah, it's very popular with businesses, but Slack was just sold to Salesforce for I want to say it was like almost $30 billion.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It's an insane amount of money. I would have been surprised if they were worth $1 billion before that article. So I would venture a guess that Discord has to be worth a lot of money. Just I have no idea
According
what.
to StreamScheme.com,
They might be reputable.
their estimated worth is about $3.5 billion.
Yeah.
It's attributed to its 200 million users and its increased effort to monetize via the subscription service Discord Nitro.
$3.5 billion.
So we
can
can
you
expect
imagine?
that Microsoft or Steam are going to buy them at some point.
I don't think
Would
Steam
be-
would buy them.
yeah.
I think it's
No.
more
I could see Microsoft
infrastructure
doing
than
it, though.
Steam wants to deal with. Because Steam is printing money. Think about it. With their current platform, they don't even need to make games. I mean, the fact that they
I don't
make
think
games
they
still is
have.
just like
They made
they just
Alex.
made Half-Life Alyx.
Hey, what?
They made Alex.
No, I'm saying they made Half-Life Alyx.
Oh yeah.
The
Not you,
ALYX.
not you, Alex. Oh,
Yeah,
not
I
you,
was,
Alex.
sorry.
They made Half Your Life, Alex. You just don't know it.
As I say, it's like that one movie of Jim Carrey, where he's in the dome.
Oh, Truman Show.
It's like, yeah, thank you.
I love that movie so much.
To go back to the Slack thing. Microsoft will probably not buy Discord because
Right.
they had the opportunity to buy Slack and they chose to make Microsoft Teams instead.
Which I have to say, Teams is a great product.
They also own
It is.
Skype too, don't they?
Do
They
they
do.
own Skype?
They own Skype
Yeah.
and they ran it straight into the ground, and they're
Yeah.
pretty much getting rid of it at this point.
They did what Google did to Motorola.
Yeah.
They acquired the brand, stole all the R&D. I wouldn't say stole. Okay, they didn't steal it. They
I mean, they paid
took
for
it.
it technically.
They benefit from all
Yeah,
the
they
R&D,
paid for
and then they
and then they
disbanded
sold
it.
the company off.
Just
again.
like we see with video game studios all the time. Buy the studio,
Yeah, I mean,
you
EA
know,
is known
get all
for
their
that.
IP, and then get rid of the studio.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting though? I have to say, EA, one of the studios they acquired, Respawn. Respawn has been at the top of their game. I mean,
They're killing it.
They have Apex Legends, which is the only battle royale I'll play. I'm
was
taking
gonna
a
say,
break from it right now.
You're going to go back on your previous statement from last week where you said
Yeah.
that you hate battle royales.
Now you can attest. Casey and Alex can both attest that I do complain constantly about Apex waiting menus. I wish that Apex had a standard mode where you could just do like a 4v4 and
it's
respawn
called,
and like like a
it's
Slayer,
called
like,
Titanfall
like
2.
a Halo.
It's called Titanfall 2,
Oh, is that?
Someone
which
saved
is also
Titanfall.
Respawn. Yeah.
I've heard Titanfall 2 is good, but but what I was going to say is that Respawn also made Jedi Fallen Order, and that is an amazing game.
It
Oh, yeah.
Alex, you
certainly
played it.
is. Oh yeah, I
I thought-
definitely have. It's,
I just finished it. I binged it. Marissa bought it for me for Christmas, and I just absolutely binged it. I was up till like 3 or 4 a.m., and I was just burning through it. The story, I remember I texted CJ, I texted CJ's wife, I texted so many people. I was like, you got to play this game. Like, if you're a Star Wars fan, which,
It's so good.
Star Wars moratorium has been lifted this week, so I'm free to go.
Only for
But,
this episode, folks. I'm so sorry.
but the story is so good. I mean, the fact that they use this story on a game is mind-boggling to me. And I definitely
Yeah.
think we're going to see Cal Kestis. Don't you think, Alex, that he's going to be in
Well,
the...
supposedly Respawn is working on Jedi Fallen Order Part 2, so
But I mean,
I'm
don't you think
just
he's going to be in,
curious.
like, cinema, like in the movies or shows?
oh, that's what you meant. Sorry. I thought that he was going to show up in Mandalorian at one point. Like maybe they'd sneak him in there just to build out the universe a little more.
Like the finale.
Especially since Cal in Jedi Fallen Order looks exactly like the actor who voiced him.
Oh, yeah.
I believe I don't know off the top of my head right now, but I believe there is a plan to get him in one of the 13 shows or whatever that they have planned for Disney.
I mean,
At
he would
least
have to be in, like,
he'll
the
make an
Ahsoka
appearance.
show, right?
Yeah,
But you know what's
Well-
weird is he would have to be, because Jedi Fallen Order takes place 5 years after the Jedi Purge, and then the Mandalorian takes place like 15 years later. So Cal would have to be like 15 years older. So they'd have to like age up or they could just be like, he's a Jedi, who cares? He hasn't aged in a minute.
he uses the Force to de-age himself.
He
Well,
pulls
I will
Palpatine.
use
So-
the Force to heal my body.
I mean, we do have it to where like we've had great like Star Wars games. Like one of the ones that everybody always talks about is KOTOR.
Oh yeah,
Knights of the Old Republic.
I
And
never played it.
You never
So
played
good.
it? Oh.
No, I
mean,
played
if
it, but I
anything-
couldn't get through it because the combat for me was just too difficult.
I mean,
for me
the
to-
combat. I would love for them
Extremely
to remake
janky.
that game and just update the graphics and update the combat style. Which I mean, somebody's probably going to tell us that if they did that, it's going to break the entire game, which might be true.
Right.
But the story itself was what made that game memorable. So if you can get through the combat, even though it hasn't aged super well,
Gracefully.
it's worth getting.
And the thing for me
Not
with
only
the
just the
combat wasn't that
combat,
it
but,
was
like, the
bad
dialogue is
combat;
good.
it was that I couldn't win. Like I couldn't get through like any fights. And I'll admit I haven't played it in like 10 years, so maybe it was just me being younger and not being. I mean, I'm not great at games anyway, but
But you don't ever hear about any of this stuff that's talked about or done in the Knights of the Old Republic in any of like the movies or shows or anything like that. And it's really one of those things where like it seems like with Star Wars when it comes to games they tend to keep that like in its own realm. So it would be cool to see them bring characters from the game, especially characters from a game like Fallen Order, which definitely I haven't played it yet, but I do plan to eventually. It's one of those games that seems to be very story centric, like the Knights of the Old Host was, where it wasn't just relying on the fact of like KOTOR didn't really have great combat, but it did have really great dialogue options, and it had really great like development in that area of where you could like develop your character as far as like light or dark. Um, but it would be
But
cool
you
to
know
see
it
them.
it doesn't this you're right in the way that Fallen Order is very cinematic. It's
Yeah.
like when you're in the middle of a fight and you do a parry and suddenly you're in like a mini cutscene for a second, slashing a stormtrooper in half.
Do you guys ever see those commercials with PlayStation when Uncharted was around, where the guy is like being interviewed and they're like he's like basically going on about how his girlfriend thinks that Uncharted is a movie, and that's how he gets to keep playing.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that's how Fallen Order sounds. Is that like you're playing this game, but like sometimes you just feel like you're actually just like a part of a movie all of a sudden.
It really like
Yeah.
I mean, don't you agree, Alex? That like the cutscenes, especially, they're like super cinematic and like they obviously put a lot of work into them,
Oh, yeah.
and like into the story.
The atmosphere in general is like incredible. Like there's each world feels. I mean, each world is unique in that like there's like an ice world and there's a jungle world. I mean, it's Kashyyyk and then Dathomir's like the desert planet. So every world has like its own feel to it, and it's very Star Wars. But like they just nailed the tone on this game.
Oh yeah,
Can I ask you guys a
and
question about the game without you like spoiling anything?
Yeah.
go for it.
So one of my favorite things about games, especially games like Dead Space, is when they use
Oh
the
yeah.
they use the environment to indicate things like health, or like what you have as far as like your inventory. So in Fallen Order, based on what I've seen with it, it seems like you have this like droid with you. Does he kind of do that, or is he really just kind of like this fun character they're doing there?
He's kind of a mix and match. I'll say that they don't indicate health with like environment. There's a small bar, but there's no other like HUD. Like you have a force bar that will come up when you're using the force in combat, but
Hmm.
there's no like the screen is like ready for screenshots.
You're
It's very
the
cinematic.
the most Dead Spacey thing that they do is that your map is projected on the ground from your droid.
Oh yeah,
Oh, those are always the best.
But I actually don't really like the map in this game.
I didn't like the map
It's
was the one
pretty
thing that
annoying.
drove me bananas. You can't
Yeah,
you like you couldn't navigate it. Like you'd zoom in and then suddenly you can't. Like luckily they
yeah.
had a reset button on the map, but yeah, it
They
was
really needed like once you beat a level, there was like you'd go through the because it's a big open world technically on each planet, but like it's relatively linear where you can go, and there's like locked doors in a lot of places, and then when you're coming back, those doors will unlock, so it's like slightly faster. But when you get to like the very end of a lot of these levels, you have to like actually like trek all the way back to your ship, and I
yeah.
wish, just for time's sake, just because I hardly ever have time to actually play games that much, like being able to get back to your ship faster, just via
They
some
have,
kind
like,
of
a
fast
fast
travel.
travel.
Yeah,
The
that would have
one
been nice.
the one exception I would say, Alex, was on Kashyyyk where you could get back
The giant
pretty
bird.
quickly.
Yeah.
And on Dathomir a little bit.
Mhm.
You know what I have to say, not to spend the whole episode on Star Wars because you know I have a tendency to take up
course.
too much time on Star
Just a
Wars.
little propensity for it, yeah.
But I have to say I was playing the Dathomir world really late at night. It was like 1 a.m. for a couple hours. I mean, I started at 1 a.m. It wasn't 1 a.m. for a couple hours.
Time
but-
froze.
Yeah, time for it's what it felt like. But it was scary. Like I actually like was
I
double checking
mean-
the locks.
There's parts of that game where you're just like, I'd like the one thing I would say, and they didn't. I don't remember if they did it. I don't think they did. But they have these things where you crawl through spaces, and I'm pretty sure it's just
Right.
to mask like loading.
Yeah,
But
that's
I
usually
was
the trick.
every time you're on edge because you're like something's gonna pop out, something's gonna kill me at the other
I
side of
know.
this or something. They do a really good job of like making it's kind of like how Dead Space would do that, where you
Same
walk
exact
around
thing,
a
yeah.
corner a
And not-
million times, but then the one time that you walk around, you don't pay attention, you're gonna get scared by something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not to spoil it, but there is a time when you're crawling and you're like, oh, like all of a sudden. But I won't
So
say
then-
when.
Did none of you play The Force Unleashed?
I did
I
play
played
14 days.
Chunks
A
of
super
it.
short,
I don't remember if I
super
finished
short
it.
game, by the way.
Extremely. Yeah, and the second one.
But
Not
the
a lot of meat
Force-
to it, just kind of
Oh,
like
yeah.
a tech demo, really. But
Is it still in canon? Because it was before Disney.
Star
and-
Killer?
I don't see why it wouldn't be. Yeah,
Let me take a look.
No, because Disney dropped a lot of the previous canon stuff. and
Right, but they're
David
bringing
Filoni-
stuff back
and,
now,
and
as we've seen
Filoni's
with
been slowly
Mandalorian.
bringing it back.
Yeah,
I will say I do like the droid design in Fallen Order, and I do like that Respawn embraced that about Star Wars because like BB-8 was one of those things that when The Force Awakens came out, people were like freaking out about BB-8 because it was this like adorable droid, and I do think that they nailed that like uniqueness to a droid in Star Wars that you haven't seen before.
I don't know. I think D-O in the last Star Wars movie was pretty dang adorable.
Oh yeah, but I mean he was just kind of like a smaller version of BB-8.
Yeah, I'll say that BD, I think it's BD1 in Fallen Order. He's actually like super essential to the plot line. Like at first you're like, oh, here's another droid palling around, but then you're like, oh wow, like he's like kind of the plot. I don't want to say the plot revolves around him, but he's an extremely important part of the plot.
Mm-hmm.
Does he turn into a grapple hook?
He has like motors on him, and there's grapple hooks. Like there's like cables and stuff randomly throughout a lot of levels, and he can hop on and you ride basically under him, and he takes you over.
Right. Anyway,
So
not
I
to spend
don't
the
see
not to spend the
on
whole
here
episode.
where it says if it's Legacy or not. So
it is in Legends. I just looked it up.
Is it?
For
Okay.
that's The Force Unleashed is in Legends. Fallen Order is
okay,
canon.
thank you.
And I'll say, well, I won't say that actually. But Fallen Order is in canon. I was about to spoil something without thinking about it.
All right.
Not to spend the
So-
whole episode on Star Wars. Another thing we wanted to talk about today. I'll let Alex take this one. He sent us something pretty interesting off Kickstarter today. That
Yeah, how'd you find that, by the way?
yeah, seriously.
So, surprisingly, it was just an ad on Instagram, and I was like, that actually looks
Okay.
really cool. So, probably the first ad on Instagram I've ever actually
I was going to
clicked
say
into.
Instagram ads are like notoriously terrible.
Yeah, so before we move into the next topic here, guys, we're just going to take a quick ad break. If you can stick around, that would be much appreciated.
And welcome back.
Ooh. Two different people for the leaving and rejoining. Yeah, welcome
Thanks for
back.
doing
Let's
the
get-
ad break there, Alex. We really appreciate that.
Let's
Oh,
get
yeah, no
back into
problem.
it.
Anyhow, this thing is called the Couch Console. It's a little console tray thing that you can sit next to you on the bed or on the couch or whatever, and it has it's modular, so you can modify it to be a bunch of different things. But the standard mode has a little snack tray, and then a cup holder and a phone charging station / under the phone charging station is like a little cubby you can just put like remotes or batteries or anything in there. But what's cool about it is it has a built-in battery, so you can charge your phone off of it. You can charge a controller if you were sitting there and it was dying and you didn't want to plug directly into your console or anything. But the coolest thing for me is the cup holder, because it's
The
a
cup
self-balancing
holder.
one. You can pick up the thing and shake the thing around, and it's going to make sure your drink doesn't spill. And that's super handy if you don't have... if you're sitting on a couch that doesn't have a nightstand or something right next to you, or you just want the convenience of having a cup right next to you that you don't want to worry about spilling on the couch. And they have it modular where you can put up to 4 of the cup holders in the thing if you really wanted to. But just a pretty cool idea.
And what's it called again?
It's a Kickstarter thing, and it's just called the Couch Console.
Not a sponsor, by the way. Sometimes it
Yeah.
sounds like we're like straight up sponsoring things. But Couch
Well,
Console,
we're
if you're
endorsing
hearing
them,
this,
you know?
Yeah, if
If
you
you're
want
hearing
to
this.
sponsor the show,
I wouldn't say
feel
we're
free to
endorsing it. We haven't tried it, Casey. We're just
Yeah.
we saw it and it was cool.
I
I
would
think
yeah.
happily
I
do
think
a
the
review
fact
for
that
them.
the whole, and correct me if I'm wrong, you said it balances drinks, right?
Yeah.
So like, why is that not a bigger thing? Like, a lot of couches have cup holders built into them now, and I'm thinking if this, I mean, obviously the technology is not expensive. If this couch console is marketed at about $90 and it's going to be, that's with their margins. So like like how is that not a bigger thing?
Well, think
Like,
about it.
How do cars not
the
have it?
couch, the couch and the car, the cup holder is attached to the fixed object. The whole car is fixed. Your drink doesn't need to move around because it's bound in by the cup holder.
No, but I'm saying, okay, say you're in a car and you go uphill and you have a drink that's filled too high, it'll spill back. So if you had an
you
Or-
should
auto
have a
leveling,
lid on your cup.
If you hit the
Wait.
brakes too hard.
okay, I'm just saying.
There are cars that have that now. I don't remember which brand it was, but I remember it being in like one
We
of
need a
the like,
citation.
advertisements because
Yeah,
the,
right.
the guy stops all of a sudden and the drink is just like really still. So
Huh.
Probably BMW, probably $4,000 to replace one of the cup holders.
probably.
Right? It's a smart cup holder where it thinks about where your drink is going and where it should be.
You know, the name Couch Console though just immediately makes me think of KFConsole, or is it
Yeah.
KFC console? How are you supposed to pronounce
Yeah,
it?
I thought it was a gaming console that like sits on your couch and wirelessly broadcasts.
That's what I thought at first, but
The
no,
KFC
I think it is
console?
KFConsole.
Yeah. No, the one that Alex sent us.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying. I'm like the KF console marketed itself
No,
as
it's
a chicken
definitely-
warmer,
Yeah.
which I think it's kind of. I mean, I think it's cool. Honestly, like it's a meme, but it's also cool that like other people are making consoles. But at the same time, they're not really making consoles. They're just making computers with
It's just
interesting
like-
form factors.
Like if you went to Walmart and you bought one of their, I forget their brand now. But like
Oh,
they're buying a pre-built machine, slapping a sticker on it, and selling it as their own.
Yeah, I mean, it would be cooler if like KFC was like, hey, here's a console, and we're gonna have these popular games on it. It has its own UI, but the fact that it's just gonna run like Windows, it's like it's
Yeah.
not really a console. That's just a computer.
Is it going to have a heating element in it? Is it purely relying on the computer itself to heat chicken?
I believe it actually has its own heating element, which to me, I'm curious how they're handling
He just
getting
That
the heat
heat.
out of there, because
Yeah.
you have it sitting on top of the actual computer components.
It seems it's obviously a gimmick, but it's also so
A
dumb
lot of insulation.
because
That's what they
who is
gotta do.
gonna? I mean, who's actually gonna use that for?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you ever put food in there to keep it warm? If it cooked food, that'd be a little different. But the fact that it just keeps it warm, and
Yeah,
like,
so
maybe-
it's only getting up to 100 degrees
I mean,
Fahrenheit, right?
even
like
if it did
or
cook food,
120.
that would be super stupid.
I mean,
too.
it could be really like just a demo for which company is it that partnered
It's
with them on
KFC.
it? No, not KFC. It's
Cookie Monster?
Master Cooler, I think.
Cooler Master.
Oh, Cooler
Yeah.
Master, yeah.
Yeah, I think honestly it could
Cookie
be
Monster.
like almost like a Cookie Monster. one.
Master Cooler. He's Master
It
Chief's
could be
cousin.
like
It's a
a
65
hardware
inch
demo.
TV, okay, it's hard to read.
Like if they could
Yeah.
literally like, be like, hey, we can heat chicken and still run a computer without having to worry about it overheating.
Oh,
That's
that's
actually
actually
pretty
a-
impressive.
That's a good
True.
point, CG. I did not think about that. The fact that it could just be a Cooler Master flexing on everyone, like, oh yeah, we can literally have a heating element in here at 100 degrees and still keep this PC perfectly fine. Although it's
Well,
at
and
100
they-
degrees, it's 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and a PC can run at 80 degrees centigrade before you have any problems, really.
Well, I was going
Yeah.
to say, my first chassis was a Cooler Master, the high airflow model.
But
So, I mean-
those your PC parts are running at that temperature with fans blowing on them. So if you include a heater also blowing hot air around, that might make your temperatures go up a little more anyways.
Right, but if you put enough insulation and then maybe put like a huge heat sink at the top that draws the heat out of the computer compartment around the warming compartment with insulation between the warming compartment and the heat pipe before it gets up to the fan and then the exhaust all through the top, that should be fine.
Yeah.
So-
Is it
but here's-
full
here's-
PC components in there, or is it like Intel Nook kind of thing?
I think it's going to be all micro PC stuff, right?
I honestly don't know.
Well, here's the
Powered
real
by
question.
Intel, so.
Here's the real question: can it run Cyberpunk 2077?
Probably.
It says it'll do 4K at 240 frames per second, so with ray tracing.
But that could probably be a whole big thing in itself, a whole another episode, honestly.
Yeah, I think we're running right up against it.
Yeah, we're already at I think 22 minutes for this episode, so
So I want to talk about the boys at brosandboxers.com, because here's the reality, folks, is that you out there, you people in the UK, in Canada, or if you're using NordVPN or whatever it is, you're not writing the boys at brosandboxers.com, and they want to hear what you have to say. So honestly, it could be about anything. You know, they want to, maybe you want to be on the show. You have some topics that you want to talk about. Maybe you want them to talk about. They're not going to know if you're not writing them at the boys at brosandboxers.com. So just send them an email. You know, even if it's hate mail. I know that Casey and Michael would love to read some hate mail.
Love it.
It would probably energize them, fuel their fire. But yeah, definitely, please take some time, write it out there, send it to the boys at brosandboxers.com.
Well, I think this time we'll say thank you for actually sitting down and speaking with us here today, CJ, Alex. I enjoyed myself. I hope our audience enjoyed themselves. Michael, did you? Nah, you never enjoy talking to them.
Never. This is such a chore for me.
Really.
No, I
So
appreciate
we
you guys coming on.
appreciate
Of course,
being on the show.
Of course, you guys are going to be on again
Yeah,
in the future
I'm
too.
happy to come back.
You
Oh,
mind
and
if I?
hopefully
You
they're
mind if I give
requested to come back.
a little exit here? You mind if I give a shout out real quick?
Oh goodness.
I'd like to give a shout out to the ladies that have been by these boys that are doing this, because I know that Michael has kids and Casey's got a life he's trying to live. So ladies, thank you.
I don't have any kids. It's okay.
That's a great point. All of us fellas here have ladies who put up
Yeah.
with the recordings. They put up with the us bouncing topics off of them. So we got to give a huge shout out to the ladies. But unfortunately, it's not called galsandboxers.com. Although, we'd probably make a lot more money.
I
if it
think
was.
that would be a lot better of a.
We might need to
Much
rebrand
better,
it.
lucrative, more lucrative deal there.
But I think we've digressed. Thank you guys so much for listening. Remember to smash that enjoyment button, ring
Smash
the
it.
metallic cone,
Ring
and
it.
sign up for this little thing that we call entertainment,
Sign it up.
information.
I don't know what
I don't even
this
know what
is.
we're categorized
Just
as,
mindless
yeah.
dribble.
It's
Yeah.
infinite content.
But if
Infinite
you-
content.
If you subscribe on your platform that you're listening to us from, then just go out there and subscribe, for crying out loud. It helps us out. See you later.